The workflow is set up and ready, so let's publish it for testing. For testing, we publish on this machine locally, so you can't share these links. Later, you will publish to the server, and this link will be shareable. All right, so for every publication, we need to save the workflow first. After saving, you go to File and Publish to Synera Run. Here you see the demo server, or I have the demo server here. You will have your company run server there. But for testing, we will use this machine that runs the workflow on your local system. This will open the Synera Run console. The console shows all the links to the workflows you have published. At the same time, a pop-up window will appear in Synera with the link to the workflow in Synera Run. The pop-up window can be closed and the link will still be valid. Also, the links are unique, so for a specific workflow, you will find it again by clicking Publish to Synera Run. But that's very important, don't close the console as long as you're working, because as long as the console is open, the links to the workflows on your machine will work. All right, now click on the link to open Run in the browser. So the workflow did not run yet, that's why you don't see anything in the viewer yet. Let's click on Run and execute the workflow. Okay, now a quick intro to the user interface. So on the left, you have all the input data. In the middle, you have the viewer, and on the right, you have all the output data. That is very similar to the concept of the data flow in our nodes in Synera. Let's check out if our workflow was published correctly. So we have a look at our inputs. We see here the design space can be selected, the battery cell type as well. And then here we have the cooling plate and the spacing as sliders. And remember that we have changed the order in the sidebar. So that's also correct. Then there's another very useful thing. You will notice these little info symbols next to the in and output names, and these are tooltips. We will learn how to set it up in the video about how to make the workflows dummy-proof and more descriptive. But it's very good to add some text here to give your consumers more help. Okay, let's have a closer look to the viewer. And here is a bit different than the viewer in Synera. So you rotate with the left mouse button, then you pan with the right, and of course you zoom with the mouse wheel. There are also different view settings in the viewer that you can use, and the zoom to fit. But for our example, we will stay here with the shaded view. Other useful features in the Run interface are the Auto Run and the Reset Input options. Per default, Auto Run is disabled. That means that you can tweak around your sliders or your inputs as you please and nothing happens. The workflow would not run, only if you manually click on Run as we did before. But once you enable Auto Run, then every change in the slider will lead to an automatical run execution of the workflow in the background. The Reset Inputs option is rather intuitive, so if you have made any changes in the input parameters or sliders, pressing this button will set everything back to the default state, just as you have set it up in your original workflow. So my recommendation would be to use the manual mode for larger workflows that require higher computation time, that have more input parameters, more sliders, so you can adjust all the inputs and then manually click once on Run to start the process. And use the automated process for the Auto Run enabled for smaller workflows where you might have only some sliders, so you just do it, and also with faster computation time, you can see the impact immediately. All right. How can we apply changes to our workflow? For this, let's go back to the workflow. Here we see this reporting section, and unfortunately, it seems like we have forgotten to include the PDF report as an output. Let's zoom in. There's a relative file path connected to the PDF export. Later, we will learn more about up and downloading data, but just as a spoiler, we register the relative file path as an output to make it available. So we need to save it, and then again publish to Synera Run. Still this machine, because we are still in testing. The console is also still open, so we can just simply refresh our browser to load the updated workflow. Immediately you see the updated output section with the PDF report. So let's run the workflow. Now we have the report available and you can download it. I'm just opening it quickly. So it's a simple report featuring the KPIs and an image of the battery pack. All right, everything seems to be fine. We're ready to go and publish on the server. For this, we need to go back to the workflow, and it's the exact same approach as we did before. So we go to File, Publish to Synera Run, and now select the server. Then you just copy the link that appears in the pop-up window, and you can share it with your colleagues. As a consumer, you can use Synera Run also on mobile devices such as tablets or on your mobile phone, and that is particularly useful for presentational purposes or on the production side. On the mobile phone, you have an additional menu for the inputs, the viewer, and the outputs, so that you have a very structured overview of your workflows in Synera Run all the time. You're now ready to create and publish a simple workflow. So check out the next video to learn more advanced options, like for example uploading and downloading data.